Alright, I will try to speed through this, even though it's probably not really possible, but the request was to do some more work on WebRTC in Godot, specifically how to send data. So the previous example I gave wasn't really that game related, it was very specific to this tool I was building. So this time we'll just build like a small little game setup. You need this package, basically, this library for WebRTC. I usually just pull it from my own repository, but you can pretty much find it wherever I found it once. Just can't remember. So I'll probably, yeah, I actually need to check it out. I threw it away, apparently. So I'll just clone that repository real quick. And go back into my WebRTC example. So then you can just get this WebRTC directory and just drop it into your own example, or well, your own folder here. It will show up here. And this is just for each platform. It will have the library to support WebRTC. So native Windows for 32-bit, for 64. Native OS X and Linux. So fine, we have that. We can go back here. So usually I just start with a main scene. I'll just make that of a node. I usually do that these days. I pretty much don't really use the normal scene structure anymore. Yeah, it's probably going to be tough to talk and code as per usual, but whatever. And then let's just add a script to that. So a new script, that will be main GD. And that's sort of just an entry point for the application. So I'm working off an example of another game I was working on a while back. So let's see if we can just sort of condense that down into what we need. We will use a UI actually in this case, so it's going to be a bit of a longer one, I suppose. And I will need a network, which I am going to be calling a network. And that will be enough for now. Then I will need to create a player and my ready function. I was apparently in that game sometimes returning what are they called again? Type hints? Is that what it is? Alright, so let's try to complete that and then go through it. Okay, so then where am I getting input from? Input.handle event. Oh, that's just something that exists or something. Yeah, no, isn't declared, so interesting. Oh, here. Apparently I had another handler for input. Okay. This is gonna make sense in a second. So, yeah, we actually need to build this out a little bit before that starts to make sense. So, well, since input is in the first one, let's just start with input. Yeah, add child node. And also that just becomes a normal node, which we're going to call input. And that maps it to that $search method, right? I mean, that's just basic Godot. Like, we shouldn't go over every single detail probably in a, what is essentially a WebRTC focused idea. Okay, so add a script. This pattern you're going to see a lot. Just add something, add a script, and then everything is handled from the script. Sorry. I just think that that is just a bit sort of cleaner than having to deal with lots of big scenes and stuff that you're constructing, even though we will do some of that as well. Now, I'm starting to make mistakes, obviously, because I don't throw that in there, sorry. Let's create a new folder and just call that core. and throw input into core. Yep. That's fine. So then let me just get that input script open so I can go over that. We need an already variable, call that parent. This is sort of how I traverse my entities. I'm not sure if this is a great way, but basically, like when I start coding in game engines, because I don't do it that much, I have no conventions to go from. So these have become my conventions, where I wrote an entire mess and then cleaned it up, and this is what eventually came out of it. So if what I'm doing is incredibly naive, then please let me know. If anything along the way, by the way. So just if you have anything to teach me Godot based, then I'm more than happy to hear it. Yeah, if action pressed, punch left. Okay, apparently we are making something. I can't quite remember what the other game I was working on was exactly doing, so we're just sort of sketching things out, and then we'll implement everything, and it will probably work. Cool. So yeah, we can quickly go over that, but yeah, so basically everything goes basically back to main. Main is always the parent. That's kind of my root, right? So if I want to search for something, I usually just go back to the root and then go from there back into whatever I need. So input is a child of main, and therefore its parent will be main, and then I can say like, okay, parent, your UI entity, call show menu on that. Your player entity, your player instance, call attack on that, right? Not too difficult. So let's go back to main. Here's that UI instance that we just saw that we could call. So let me quickly reference my stuff. I have a UI folder for that. So create a new folder, call it UI. Right, and then I have an empty child node here again. So same pattern, make that node, call it UI. These are just like containers for scripts that then eventually do the orchestration of whatever needs to be done and loaded in. So for instance, we can, do we actually call the main menu? Yeah, that's what we said, right? Did we say load screen main menu? We did. So the way that that's going to work is we're going to have a main menu scene here in UI. So let's make a new scene and call it main menu. Yep. And that will have a user interface. And then a canvas layer. The order of all of the UI stuff in Godot is still basically a bit of a mystery to me, to be honest. But yeah, so and then it has a button, and that button will say something like new game, right? Yeah, I probably want to make that bigger, but that's a hassle, so I'm just going to keep that small. I know that on YouTube it's not the greatest thing ever, but yeah. So that button seems to have a signal on it, and that would be pressed. So do I actually, I don't really need to make an effort because I can just do that in the script, right? Add a script, call it main menu, sure. Is that neatly packed away in the UI? Yes, great. So, and that script is going to have some things. It extends control, then has an already var parent equals get parent on new game. I don't actually know if that actually picks up the signal straight away, but we'll see. parent UI dot load screen lobby. So this time we're really building some functionality that we can actually click through gaming wise and set up our networked game. So it's a little bit clearer how you put this into context, and it's not just raw, this is how you do WebRTC. It'll be in context, but to build it in context we have to do some work. So the WebRTC stuff is gonna come a bit later, but yeah, we'll get through it, hopefully. It took me 13 hours to get started from the moment I woke up to when I actually felt like I could start. Now we'll just have to finish it. Where are we again? Oh yeah, so we're loading the screen lobby. So that basically does the same thing. Actually, we need to do UI GD real quick. That's actually quite important because that does the heavy lifting. So here in main, back in main, UI has a script. Great. Now it extends node. Great. On ready var. Guess what? Parent equals get parent. Always get back to that main so you can traverse to the other instances and entities. Screen is null. So func load screen, and this is going to be our loader for various UI scenes that you can dynamically load into your little UI placeholder here. So that's how I build up scenes. I hope it's okay. Again, if not, please let me know and why. Parent dot remove child. So we'll remove the original screen if there is one. And then we set load zip. We're going to do a little dynamic loading of our parameterized UI screen with a %s. So it will load anything passed into there. %s, and then we instance that sucker, and then we add it as a child. So that can now load anything, any scene in here based on the name. So if you pass it main menu, it will go and look for this main menu scene. And what we just did was we created lobby, or we call lobby. So we'll create lobby. That'll be a user interface most likely, but let me just get to this. Yes, actually I made it a 2D scene. Why did I do that? Does that make any sense? I made it a 2D scene and then gave it a canvas layer. No, it'll just be a user interface, please. And it will be called lobby. Now, add a child node, add a canvas layer. Next, add a child node, add a grid container, add a child node, and then add a text edit. Yep. Call that one player name. Now, add a child node, text edit again. Call that lobby name. Yes. Add a child node, text edit. Call that host game. Add a child node and oops, just a text edit. Don't lose the plot, stay there. Call that join game, and that should have been a button. Can you change type? Yes. Button, and call that join game. Okay, cool. So lobby has a script. because everything has a script, at least these sort of top level things. So lobby, yeah, extends control, on ready var, parent is get parent, great. That gives us the instance to, well, you know, main, root, whatever, for player name equals get node canvas layer grid container player name dot on ready var lobby name lobby name and that's host address. Interesting, because I can't remember that we had that host game. That's probably host address then. I was being dyslexic, maybe. Very likely. Oh no, wait, there's two buttons, okay. I'm forgetting something. This should be host address, yes. And can I just duplicate this? Yes, boom, move it up. And this should be host game. So you have two options, to host the game or to join a game. Makes sense, right? And then you pass the host address, okay, cool, lobby name, player name, okay, great. So save that, and then go back to our script, here, great, get node, host address, great. Right, parent dot network dot. Actually, that doesn't really make sense to have those underscore methods, because it's confusing. But I'm gonna stick with it for now, because I want to make sure that this has a chance of working when we fire it up, and diverging from the reference material that I'm working with would be most likely catastrophic. Func. So just to reinforce what's happening here, right? Like, we go to the parent, which is main, and then dive into its network child, and then call a method on there on join game. And to me, this keeps the code really decoupled and clean. I can basically swap things in and out really easily without being completely bogged down in some sort of inheritance hell, you know. And more I'm not liking inheritance very much as a design pattern. Okay, so we've set that up, great. So that should actually be enough for us UI-wise, I think. I don't think we need much more. No, that's fine. So we can go back to main and see what we're missing still, which will be a few things, right? We still don't have network, and we don't have player yet. So let's start with network. Add a empty node, call it network, hang a script on it, call that network, throw that into core. because I don't know where else to throw it, basically. Yeah, here we'll have to do some work. Like the networking stuff is always a lot of work. I think we're going to type it out completely, because normally I just start by copying the 3 files you need: server, the client, and the WebRTC client stuff. I just copy that directly from the Godot WebRTC example and then just adapt it. But in this case, I've already made so many adaptations that it wouldn't be quicker to do that, I think. So we're just gonna type it all out, and it's long and it's boring, but you clicked on this for a reason, so you know. Hopefully it helps. On host game. So these are the methods that we were just referencing, right? Like, and I'm just gonna do some debugging. I'm trying to do this semi-right because it'll be on GitHub, and yeah, with a little bit of luck, both you and I can use this as a sort of springboard for WebRTC based games. But I'm not going to be making a whole big deal out of it. Like, it won't be maintained, and it will be mostly based on laziness. Okay, make a print statement. On join game, right? So that's why I don't usually take the time to also copy my debug statements from other projects when I'm using my reference material, but sorry, Boogie was making a sound because he decided to go to sleep, and that's the radiator. It's weird to narrate when you're typing and then start narrating, like, and then you feel some sort of weird responsibility for the sounds that your house is making, because it's old and weird. I don't actually need to do that because I don't need that part of the game logic. So yeah, basically we just said on when we press the onJoin game, start a client, and we need an add player method. It's gonna get a network ID. Yeah, so it will be added to the players, right. Yep. And then do var player equals parent. Damn it. We will need to make another object. We'll see what that false means later. It's probably it's not super nice. That's stuttering code, and that's probably not great. And we might deal with that at some point. Obviously, if you make some sort of great innovations in this code base, once it's on GitHub and stuff, feel free to send a merge request or something for any improvements, because that'd be great. Oh, this is something that you probably will like, because this is probably the thing that most people are talking about when they say, how do you send data? Although I had a little speech prepared for that, but then again, like, it's not that interesting. It's just that a lot of people keep asking me, like, how do you send data over WebRTC? And what confuses me is that what else were you going to send except for data? Like, isn't everything that you're sending data? And I know that WebRTC has this concept of like media channels and data channels and stuff, but that is not necessarily like the only way to look at WebRTC. It's just a communication protocol, and you can segment it into channels however you want. That's fine. But yeah, I don't know that much about it either, so don't just take my word for it and research it. But as far as like what I do with it in Godot, all I send is data. Like it's just a stream of bytes flowing over a line, and then you make responders to that. So the sync motion is basically, yeah, where we're going to be actually doing something with the network and the player, and possibly, hopefully, I can't remember if this version of the reference material was far enough and it actually works, but otherwise we'll have to fix it. This is gonna be a long video and it's kind of fucked. Alright, now that we have that, what did I say? We needed something. Scenes. We need scenes. Scenes is like, yeah, when I don't really have a good way of defining it, like UI. Sorry. Like UI is scenes, of course, as well. Like it's a scene loader. And you could say that all of the UI stuff could be done in scenes as well, but it's just not a loader for dynamically loading scenes into your game and doing interesting stuff. So actually that also needs a node on main, so it can reference main again. Scenes. Okay. That wasn't correct, but it worked anyway. Add script. Oh no. Can I rename it right from here? No. Fuck you. Here then. Rename. Scenes. And that meant I spelled it wrong here as well. Rename. Hello? Oh, I have to like double click it. You have a rename option that doesn't work. Oh, now it works. Okay. Whatever. Scenes. What does scenes do? Well, I'll show you. It probably does a little bit much in this case, but okay. I'm ready for parent, because get parent. Oh, right. So I have a player in here, again, apparently. And I'm preloading that one. Arbitrary reasons, by the way. I don't know if that actually makes anything better. So then I have a player instance, and then I have a load player function. I'm skipping the. There's already some there's already some weapon code in this reference code base of mine, and I'm skipping that for now. Could be relatively interesting if there is animal for it to dive into that later. But if you get the sync motion, you basically have sync weapons. It's all exactly the same. So this is why we said like we will think about why we're passing false to load player later. It's just to say whether or not the player is networked. So player instance dot networked is networked, and parent instance. I guess I'm doing something kind of wrong here. Player instance network add chat player instance, and then I want to return a player instance. Okay. That's fine. Of course, I don't have a player yet, so I need to quickly make that. I have a folder for players specifically, and then I have a player scene in here. New theme called player. And since my reference example is in 2D, I will remain in 2D. Although this has all kinds of collision shapes and stuff already. Does it actually matter? Can I just flip it to 3D straight away? We could. Okay, fuck it. Make a 3D scene. Call it player. I'm supposing, yeah. I don't know if most people are using 2D or 3D. Let me know. New script. Call it player. Actually, let's not forget to make a bit of a representation. So put a mesh instance and then do a capsule. Do I want to rotate it? Like, seems like a lot of work, and I can. Okay. It actually does not seem like a lot of work at all. 90 degrees on X. Boom. Make it semi-good, you know? Alright, so player. Boom. I actually don't know if that will work all on, I don't care. Need to do some boilerplating for acceleration. I think I just kind of fucked myself a little bit. Well, we'll see. This can either go really okay or really wrong. Because my example is in 2D and I'm working in 3D now. I don't use Godot enough to just say like, okay, now I'm just comfortable switching all of my logic to 3D when it comes to movement. But we'll see. That's all I need. And this is networked, by the way. Okay, radius is passed, so then we can just go directly to physics process. Okay. And I don't need to make this very difficult, so the simplest version would be really great, to be honest. Why not? It's not that much, come on. So yeah, make a physics process. Yeah. And then we do if networked, we can just pass all of the logic. Yeah, so basically that networked flag, what that does is, so the server will be adding new players to your instance of the game, right? The network players. And when you press a button, it shouldn't be moving those players, so that's why we want to be able to circumvent the movement logic for network players. So we need an input axis. So this will help you work with keyboard and joystick and all that stuff and gamepad. 0. So we will have an apply friction acceleration. This is something I got from somewhere. I honestly can't remember, some standard movement example, so don't expect me to explain all of this because I'm not that great at math. In fact, I'm terrible at it. And and then motion is move and slide. I honestly don't know if that will work on 3D. We will see. Otherwise, we will switch this out for something real simple, because honestly, this is really not the point of the entire thing. Like, we can sync any type of it's still liking it, so now we go to sync motion. We call it on our network instance and say parent player dot network ID and pass in motion. So now we have that little object of motion here that defines what the player is doing and where it's going, and it's being sent to a sync motion method on our network instance, and we will get to that soon. We just need to finish our movement boilerplate, because stupidly in the middle of a WebRTC, well, call it a tutorial, we are now stuck doing way too much work on our motion. So not even seriously knowing if it's going to work, because here we get to have some interesting issues already, right? Because I honestly don't know if this is going to work. Is action pressed, move right. Yeah, we might actually have to set something up for this, right? In thing. Now, I'm assuming that it's going to be Z that I want to move on, and not Y, because it will be up and down. However, this is starting to become confusing because I'm working a lot in Blender lately, and Z is what most people know as the Y-axis in axis in 3D, or at least I do. I thought Y was up and down and not Z, but Blender thinks differently about that. I think it's maybe a bit more traditional to have that way, but normalized. Okay, great. And then we still need that apply friction. This is just so unnecessary for this. And if it doesn't work, I won't even really know how to debug it, so I'll just have to remove it all, but I'm like committed to do it. Motion is vector 3, 0. And we need that apply movement, acceleration, yeah, acceleration. That's one of those words that will always be an issue for me. Motion plus equals acceleration, and motion is motion dot clamp max speed. Weird, there's a networked move as well. We probably need that. That's likely to be able to allow the network to move other players, I'm not sure. But I'm doing something weird here. That is for sure. Why the hell am I doing that? That is so weird. Okay. Let's not question it. I'm doing this and then I pass M to it. I have no clue what that does. But I wrote it, so it must be something. Move and slide. Wait. What are you talking about? Oh no, because it was all on a kinematic body 2D. This doesn't work. That is becoming increasingly clear now. Okay, we have to start cutting our losses here. We're going to do this in 2D and try to rewrite it all. On the other hand, like, could it really be that difficult to just... Hold on for a sec. Change type. So, you have a kinematic body, so there's no shape, it can't collide. Yeah, I remember you have to do something then, right? Let's go fix that. So it needs a collision shape, right? Is that it? Would that make you happy? I think it would be. Collision shape. Yeah. Okay, that makes it happy. A shape must be provided. So we need to give it a shape, so we'll give it a new capsule shape. And then this one also wants to rotate itself 90 degrees. Now we actually have a collision shape. That's not that bad. And we also need to add a camera. So, camera. Great. Let's just move that sucker here. That's fine with me. We won't be able to see it move if we don't put something else in there probably, but for now we don't care. Let's go back to our script and see if it's happy now. In fact, that should just be kinematic body. Happy, yeah. Network sync motion doesn't exist. Okay, so maybe we've saved it. You never know. Oh, this stupid radiator. Network. So we're going back into some network code now. We do have that sync motion. So why was it actually complaining then in player? Parent isn't declared. That is correct. Parent is get parent. Okay, our whole thing is happy. This is actually already complete. So now we can actually do, yeah. Do we want to... Yeah, we don't really want to type all of this out because it's a lot of... Let me actually send that straight to this machine. Okay, so... I forgot how to SCP a directory. Oh no, I didn't. It's better. I'm just sending over the example code so I can just steal from that. Seems like a bit of a more easy approach. Let's open that in Visual Code. And I just need to go to networking. I just need all of that basically, yeah, so we don't even need to do this. And you will get this from GitHub if you need it, so just grab these and go to your core here, create a networking folder. Oops. And yep. I was trying not to do this, but this would take too much of your time to actually go over, and we kind of went over all of this in the previous WebRTC stuff. So shall we go through it by just running it? Is that an idea? And then see, because it's gonna be broken as fuck, or maybe not, really? Ah, so that signaling stuff doesn't work that way. Okay, great. So we start by going to this and actually adding a signal pressed. Connect the script. Yeah. Okay. Great. And then we also probably need to do that in lobby to say on the host game, on pressed, yeah, connected, and join game. I don't understand why that actually needs to be explicitly defined, like the methods are there, right? So just look for them. Okay, and we probably need to fix up our UI a bit here in the grid container. Can we just make that bigger? Yeah. Why is this not nice? And why do I have to deal with this now? Can I don't care what they look like, these buttons at the moment. Oh, because there's nothing on it, right? This one is called host game. This one will have join game. And I have some text for here, test player. Why? Why is that like no margin at all? Why? Why is this so crappy? This sucks. You know what? Go there. Fuck the grid container. Just let me move stuff, so it doesn't need to be nice. Lobby name here. We'll call it test lobby, because we're that creative, you know? So we need to have a player name, a lobby name, and a host address, like if we wanna. So actually that needs to be the IP of this machine, and that would be this one right here. Although I could probably get away with just doing the machine name, right? Shall we test that? And then give it, well, now it has margin. Yeah, make it wider up. So, very, very, very nice interface if you want to host a game and join a game. Let's just keep running this, and then we will go over the network bit. Okay, so I can host a game, and then we crash hard. Listen on base now. Server. We don't have a server. Okay, that makes total sense actually. Because, where do we set up the server? Inside the network. I was being quote-unquote clever. So we need a server node inside your network, and we'll need a client node as well. So let's make that straight away as well. No, why? Why would you do this? Just the same type as before, please. And call that client. Now, the thing is, now we actually just want to load those scripts onto it, right? So go to core, go to networking, go to server, and this client one, load a script, go to core, go to networking, and take client. Alright, let's just see what happens if we run this now. Let's just see if we got the bugs out of it. Host game, nope. Invalid get index text on null instance. So that will be either player name, lobby name, or host address. Huh. They do exist. Host address, yeah, get no. Ah, no, of course not. They don't exist anymore because I removed the grid container. Up. Making some fixes. Yep, host game. Oh, cool, that worked. It did say client stop straight away, so that's not ideal. It should have started the game. But that's actually quite good that it doesn't work, because then we can go through the networking code and try to fix it. So it tried to connect to my local host. Let's first of all make sure that it works and throw this IP address in there. Actually, not here. In the default. Yep, new game, host game. It's not jumping to my game. Okay, so what happens when we click that button, host game? Or we're going to check it. Yes, thank you. So on host game, press parent network on host game and then on join game. So it's trying to host the game first and then join the game. So it's likely, it does say server listening. So it goes to server, sorry. And then, hold on for a sec. Where was I again? Lobby, right. So parent network on host game. So network on host game. That's where it starts server listen. So it looks for that server and then looks for the listen method. Okay. So in server, there will be a listen method. Right here. Okay. So first it stops any service and clears it, then gets time, then it calls server listen port. Okay, but that's the server listening, and that'll be this server, so a WebSocket server. That's what we eventually call listen on in our wrapper listen method. Then it's just server listening, so that should be fine. But then it calls network on join game, because from lobby it said network on join game with the player name, the lobby name, and the host address. Okay, so that means network on join game right here. That's where that log line comes from, and then it says client start, player name, lobby name, host address. Okay, so here in client there will be a start method right there. And we did this before, right, in the previous example. Then it sets a lobby and connects to the URL host address. Okay. What I don't quite get is why that would be necessary, to be honest. But apparently it is. I'm confused as to why. Okay, where is that connect to URL? I think because this extends web client RTC, I think that's where we're going to find that connect to URL, yes. So let's see, connect to URL, then it connects to our thing. And why would it disconnect from host and then connect to URL again? Okay, that does make sense. Where is it calling client stop though? That I would like to know. Let's go try to find why it's calling stop. Somewhere that is logged. And at the moment I don't see it yet. Not here. Most likely not here. It must be here, right? Like so here. I think it is connected. I think it's just not loading. I think it's just not loading anything. Could that be? I think it's perfectly fine. I think it should be calling some sort of we can really easily see that by just printing something here and, I don't know, typing a keyboard or something. Yeah, that was really funny, but no. Yeah, we have to go and figure this out. This is not good. Something isn't right. Ah, yes, okay, hold on for a second. I know why, because I skipped a lot of menu stuff in the maybe that's not it. Let's go find where the player is actually added to the game. I think the server does that, right? Like usually the server does that. So peer connected, here network add player. Okay, so do we get a peer connected? Because what could be going on is that we're having an issue with some... No, it's randomly creating the lobby, right? Yeah. Client connection. Okay, hold on. It could be that that sometimes helps, but no, there's something not right. This sucks a lot. gotta figure it out. And then I have to edit all of this thinking out of it. So weird. Okay, this is going to be a bit hacky. But it allows for it. I just need to get rid of that menu at least when you click host game. And then it should go to client start. There's something something more has to be called most likely, but I'm not seeing it at the moment. So client start, so it goes to client, then start, okay, cool. Connect to URL, okay, cool. But then it should start printing all this kind of stuff. And I just don't understand why it doesn't. No way. Yes, way. Fucked. Why do I have to spend so much time, like, just... Okay, hold on. So, problem was... this. It's running on a port. I'm not sure if I have to go specifically to... No. Okay, we need to put some stuff around the player, otherwise we can't see it move. So, the way I'll do it is I'll create a... well, we'll get multiple players, right? So we'll see them move through that, I suppose. Now, I do think I need to set some in the project settings. There was something about the controller setup or something, right? That I had to do. Did I specifically have to do that, or? No, I don't think so. I need to make sure that I'm moving, otherwise, I don't know. Can I somehow see that dynamically? No. Is it possible to just add a quick mesh to something that is set up so basically? Put a cube there, put it sort of over here in our vision. Does that work? Would it like that? Because it doesn't have a 3D root node, so yeah, it doesn't care. Okay, we are not moving. I don't mind that. Just give me some very simple movement. It's weird though, why wouldn't it? Am I sure I don't need to set that map? Well, you're saying I should just use the arrows? See, I want to make sure it's actually getting here. Yeah, let's just print the axis real quick, just to see if we're actually getting input, because I don't want to mess around with stuff that I don't need to. Yeah, we're not getting any input, so... yeah, quickest way would be to get some sort of a controller, and I know there's one underneath the couch, but I don't want to do that right now. Why can I not just... Why can I not just use like normal buttons? But I remember I had to do something here with the key map. I wonder if I just sort of do that. Would it like that? So now that's UI up. I don't know. No. This is weird. This is weird. Why is that not working? I mean, even moving the mouse should do something, because that's what this whole thing was for, to have mouse control as well. This is extremely strange. Okay, so we are going with something like that, I don't know. I wonder if I just changed this to like UI, like it said. Would it like that? I mean, it does autocomplete and it makes more sense, I suppose. Boom. Holy shit. It like that. Okay. Vector 3 cannot be clamped. Okay. I don't know, just give it motion. And do I care? It's just an example. Like. Okay. Okay, in this case, parent is a bit weirder, right? Because we are actually... No, we're in player, so yeah, that should be fine. There's no sync motion in network. No, there's not sync motion. Okay. Sorry, this is where it's just so difficult to make these types of things. Okay, so we have movement. It's a bit fast, but yeah, unfortunately for you, you figure out how to clamp that that thing. Player. Let's get rid of that print statement. If I can ever find it again, it's an input, right? No, it's not. It's not an input. Oh yeah. Yeah, this video is gonna require some editing. Right on. So actually, that sets us up pretty good, right? I think it could technically work. We never know for sure. The only way we know for sure is if we run it on a machine. So we'll do that. So at least let's get the code to another machine so that we can start 2 instances. Yep. I don't know, some setup. And push it. And let me download it here. On another machine. Could not resolve host. Oh, my network is down again here. MacBook Pro 2018, nothing but problems. The keyboard is fucked, the Wi-Fi network is constantly dropping. It's a mess. They used to be, you know, pretty good makers of machines, but this is just getting ridiculous. Okay, so let's open a project. Import, browse, games. Alrighty, so let's start an instance here and do host game. And let's start an instance here and do join game. We started moving like a crazy person. What happened? We just started moving. See, we lost the cube and stuff. What happened? So another client connected. Oh, okay, that was it. And then we just started moving like a crazy person. Okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So what's going on, right? Like, just to get back on track a little bit of the networking. So we press that button, so on join game and on host game, right? So on host game is quite simple. It creates a server listen, and weirdly enough, it doesn't do any kind of start. But if we look at server listen, sorry, that's here. It just does that. Okay. Are we sure it shouldn't start a player as well? Just to have a quick look. Apparently not. Oh no. Okay, that actually does make sense. So yeah, it does a server listen, and then on join game it does a client start, and client start goes over here, and does you know, connect to URL. It connects, you know, those network players together. Then it has all these, like, you know, methods. We kind of went over that in that previous sort of tutorial, and it does all that WebRTC magic, right? That you don't really need to know. Like, all of this stuff, you can basically just kind of copy paste from, like you saw me do right here. There is, however, then, you know, some stuff to keep account of. Even this, you can just sort of copy paste that for now. There's only a couple of things that are interesting here, and we will look at that in a second. Then the server is where it really happens. So there is a peer connected callback method that is called from joining a lobby, and then yeah. In any case, eventually this peer connected will be called with the ID of that player, right, of that network instance. Sure, it adds a new peer instance to your peers. This is all stuff that really you don't have to do much with. You know, it's kind of abstracted away for you in this little code base. Same with peers disconnected, just, you know, erases stuff. Here, most likely, what you would have to do is actually create a remove player as well. We haven't gotten that far ever in, or I haven't gotten that far in my previous work either, so I just want to connect players for now. So you have this parent network add player that is then called, right? So that should be here then. There's an add player method, right? Just really creates an instance of load well, parent scene load player. So that goes to scene to load player. It just creates an instance of that player scene with, you know, whatever player scripts you want to have on that, right? And in this case, that's just our input stuff to move around. Like, we could actually, if we set the acceleration a lot slower, and then maybe even slower, we could actually see that maybe work a little bit nicer. So when we do host game, See, now we can actually move a little bit more sanely. I don't know what will happen if we connect another player. I'm just connecting that now from here. Let's give it another name though. Test player 2, join game. Now, on my screen on the second computer, it's completely gray, so there is no player added. So that's kind of weird. So there's still something not entirely right there. It said join lobby. Interesting. So that actually does make a little bit of sense, because yeah, reason being that client doesn't call any kind of add player as I see it now. Hold on for a second. So our network, when it calls client start, sure, it calls a pair connected on the server, but that doesn't create a instance for the client. Interesting. How did we solve that in the other one? Quick check. Maybe I never addressed that in this one. That's very possible. What if we made this other computer the server and messed around on the machine that we're recording on for a while to try to solve it? We can do that. We just need to make a tiny little change. And I'm starting to flag in my thinking. I've talked for too long and I've done too much. It's possible that we will not get there tonight. We have them connected together and we are sharing data, but we're not quite there yet. And this radiator is starting to bother me also. Okay, let's host the game. Interesting. Oh, well, yeah, the IP address won't be the same, so we have to change that. I'm very close to needing at least a break, and that usually means that I will stop for the evening. But I will try to continue a little bit longer to see if we can get somewhere. But it won't be too much longer. 192. Okay. Fire that puppy up. Host game. Okay. Now we can do a join game from here, as long as we change the network. Let's just change the name for argument's sake. You see, nothing is coming up here, but I do get a pair connected, and actually I do see a second player on the other screen now that I see it. So we're definitely doing something. We're just not creating a You know what it is, I think? I think the server is supposed to be taking care of this in a way that I'll try to show you, because I hope I can still remember. Maybe the example I'm working with wasn't far enough. So actually should be, because it already has a network move message. This is actually where it goes, by the way, for anybody who just wanted the quick route and ended up all the way here and wants to know how do you share data over WebRTC. This is where you parse it. This is where you get it on data, and somewhere in the client you can send it. The send message here. You just put a packet, and in my case it follows a little protocol, the type, the ID, and the data, and then to be picked up by the server. Yeah, here parse message, and then you can get your payload out of it. So in this case, type, for me it's just a simple M, you know, see, split it by colon, like you could see here I put colons in between them to separate my messaging string. It's just a simple little protocol. You think of it yourself, you do whatever you need. What I needed was, say, type, M for movement, ID of the player, or entity, whatever, and S is just the data. It's just a string of data, whatever it may be. Can be a string, integer, whatever. It's just sent over the network as a string. You parse it back, doc type, whatever you want. That's how I move my players. As for now, we are gonna have to quit. Like, damn it! I wish could make this work real quick. Okay, hold on. So it joins the lobby. Yeah, I joined the lobby. Okay. I mean, all I need is a player, right? And then peer connected. See, I get peer connected on my server, and then its parent network goes there. But this one doesn't say peer connected, it just says join lobby. So, really brutally, what if we just, in the lobby, join lobby, okay, just add a player with peer ID. I don't know if it will work. This is where I also just have to experiment a lot and just sort of go by semi-logic and see if I can make that somehow work. Usually it works. See, now it went to join lobby, but actually not here. Haha, that's very funny. So you think that lobby join, client lobby join lobby. Did I do it here somewhere? I don't know. Like, this is kind of baffling, to be honest. It's because you usually kind of have your player already hanging around in your scenes. Is that it? I wonder if I could just do it here, to be honest. Yeah, why couldn't I just call it here? But I don't have a player ID here, do I? No. This is probably not the wisest move. Hold on. See, it sends it to the server, yes. Yeah, I mean, it really shouldn't be here. Let's just put that first and foremost. And actually, it cannot be here, because you wouldn't have the parent. I don't know how I do this normally. This sucks. you know, maybe it has to be done here. I don't know. We don't have a network ID here, so that really worries me. How do I normally do this? I'll have to go figure it out. Maybe that's as far as I ever got with it. Like, look, let me see if I can show you, and then I'll work on it for a while and see if we can get any further with it. But let me open this one up again. Let me start this one as a server. Shut that radiator up. Did I already say that I have to push the radiator and then it will stop for a little bit? Okay, so now I'm hosting a game, right? And I have my player. And I use my other computer and I join this game. So what I saw earlier was... Okay, now it's getting weirder. I saw earlier another player. Oh, it's very frustrating. Yes, it really is. Oh yeah, it's because this one is really quick now. That's probably it. So, in fact, get player script and set his speed down. We set 200, right? Okay, host the game. And, oops, join the game. I see, I'm thinking I'm joining the wrong game. Yeah, I changed the network config. It should be 31. So it wasn't even connecting. Now join the game. Okay. You see how that there was another... I don't know why there's movement coming from this. But yeah, you saw the other player there for a second, right? So, and it was moving like on the network too. It's janky, I know. I will release it and then like maybe you can make it work in your own time. Or before that happens, I hope I feel guilty enough to actually fix this stuff. Yeah, you saw it again there. We'll leave it at that, and like either you or I fix it. Let's see who's first.